Yeah. We are an online school, and online as of now in the space of special education, as well as we do have some customized learners like who wants to do technical qualifications with certain subjects which are not available in their current curriculum, the standard curriculum of the school. So they also are our students, but that is mostly learners of grade 10, 11, 12, that age group. And when it comes to special education, we are working online. And I think for our Bangalore physical space is just 2 years old right now. And we have started there. We are a very small house, nothing, you can see a small ant in that whole swarm of schools and institutions, some of them quite respected institutions that are running in Karnataka, in Bangalore. So this is all about me, and I would just like Naomi to give a little bit of her background, because I think she holds a, a big feather, being having her qualifications in having well, I have masters in special education and inclusion, and I think she is more with autism, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Naomi, it would be great if you can just a little bit of introduction from your end, and then we can talk about our agenda today. Yeah.
Hi, hi everybody. So my name is Naomi. I'm the Center Director of Linguaphile Skills Hub in Bangalore. So I run the Bangalore operations, the physical space that we have right now in Koramangala. I think I know some parents here uh, with my work in the, when I had my private space. So I've worked with neurodivergent children for a very long time, and I've had my qualifications, MEd in inclusive education from Glasgow, and then worked in mainstream schools as well. Currently in Linguaphile, we as Papiya said, we have the online program and the offline. For neurodivergent children, both in primary as well as secondary. And we have plus 16, some students plus 16 who are taking up vocational technical courses as well. So today, I think we're all here to talk about Edexcel, to introduce Edexcel in a way, because a lot of parents in Bangalore or in India don't know that much about Edexcel. Cambridge, of course, is a lot more known and a lot more popular in that sense. But so Edexcel has its own advantages when it comes to neurodivergent children pursuing their higher studies. And I think, and Papiya will take us through, the entire board and the qualifications that it offers. We'll also be talking about a little about IGCSE and the curriculum under that as well. So I think Papiya can go ahead and start. We'll be taking questions, and Bindu will sort of manage the questions. I think we'll be taking questions towards the end. So keep your questions ready. You can type it in the chat, or you can, we can have a direct question answer round as well at the end. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you all. I would not go by the standard pro forma of a PowerPoint presentation. However, I will send all the related documents of the application of Edexcel qualification and whether how much the qualification is approved by the Indian higher education, the access arrangement, what you call exam accommodation, here in the UK we call access arrangement, and how does it stand, what are those inclusive access accommodations, that exam accommodations that are available, as well as why we can kind of think about this international board in addition to the standard boards that are running in India, as well as I think many parents here are aware of NIOS secondary. So yeah, so that is already there, and it's a quite a great board with a lot of options. But yes, there is something else. Is there anything else, and can our set of children work on that something else? So this is kind of, I would kind of talk to you on those ground. And these all set of documents, I think I will send it across to Naomi and Bindu, and that you can give a read later on. So I just don't want to bore you with taking over a PowerPoint presentation, on and on. So first, let's talk about international board. So when it comes to Edexcel, Edexcel is technically the board from UK government, which was the only board in the beginning of UK education system. They are the oldest. Later, Oxford University and Cambridge University started with their own boards. And therefore, Oxford started something called the AQA, which is for the secondary education. That is up to, we say secondary, but mostly it's higher secondary. That is up to grade 12. And Cambridge started with the Cambridge board. They actually started with something called ESOL, because that is English to the speakers of other language. That was their first intake. And later, because they worked with British Council, especially for framing of the IELTS, when we have to go and study abroad, or when you go to work abroad, you have to pass your English language testing system just to see whether, and this is applicable for all passport holders except for country of US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and of course America. But all, whether you are a Polish citizen, still you have to give your IELTS. So they were technically the founder of IELTS, and they worked with British Council. And I think because they had a better footage in terms of going into accessing the international market, they started with the Cambridge examinations. And so the Cambridge started. However, when you come into the inland of England, Scotland, Wales, that is the whole of United Kingdom, nobody here does Cambridge. So my son, who is studying here in grade 12, doesn't do Cambridge. Yeah. He technically studies Edexcel AQA. So in England, because there is a one frame policy when it comes to education, that is all boards, irrespective of whether you are studying Cambridge or AQA or OCR. OCR is another board. You are studying City and Guilds, you are studying whatever board you call it. We have NCFE qualifications. All boards, the whole curriculum is same as in line. That is, here the curriculum is called national curriculum. So there is what we say a standard is fixed. So today a child who is studying in grade 8, for example, moves from one school to another, they don't find difficulty because the curriculum is same irrespective of what final board of exam they are going to give, which unfortunately is not there. That standardization we do not see in Indian education system. So ICSE has its own formation and textbook, CBSE has own, NIOS is again having its own, state is again following its own. So there is this division. Here we don't have division. And because of this, although finally the school can have Edexcel, AQA, Oxford, whatever board they want to do, the education does not change. The curriculum is similar, the shifting is similar. So the progression is very much accountable and uniform. The difference here is that when it comes to whether mostly we all study in public school here, the parents who are very elite, MP's son and royal children, they might go to the private schools. And there is, in between, there is something called grammar schools, which is a public-private partnership, kind of a setting, which technically the classroom sizes are small, and they just want to cater to the brilliant ones. Okay, so yes, because here by government rule, all school has to be inclusive. So they do pick up some, but I would say the story runs similar to what is running in India. So they might pick up some who has a very, very something which is manageable from their end, nothing very complicated, nothing on a non-verbal ASD or ASD with ADHD or Something on a very difficult level, they don't go for it. But someone who has a cognition to match their marking, so that, grammar schools are grammar schools, and they just want to keep their heads up high with A stars and all 90% of all the students passing with the best of the level nines. So they don't want to, come down there. And public schools, where my children study also, they are open to all, because they are catering to the whole public. When it comes to the curriculum, everybody is studying the same, but it's just that in public school, in a class, there might be 25 to 28 or 30 students, while in a grammar school, it would be around 15, 16. So the teacher's attention has happened, it's undivided. And you go to the elite one, so more elitist of the thing happens there. Well, I do not know what happens there, so I can't say. That's how the whole situation is. Now, coming to the point of what is our need. In terms of special education need, yes, I think when it comes to understanding and giving that inclusivity in terms of the final qualification, this country has, it's much more matured. So what we get here in terms of the inclusivity is quite higher than what is happening in all the Asian countries, because Asian countries, I think it's through the parents' advocacy, things are really coming to a change, but there is still more milestones to achieve. Just for a simple example, right now, I think with the current government legislation is coming that in grade 12, you have to have two languages, compulsory, right? But I think they miss that idea. What happens to a child who is severely dyslexic when one language becomes so tough for them to pass through? Two languages, they're not thinking. But they might argue, I have an iOS for you. You can go through an iOS route, right? For them, you don't have to study ICSE or CBSE. But what if my child is brilliant to study ICSE, CBSE, but severely dyslexic, can't do something what you call as two languages? That's too much for him. So probably they are not able to rationalize that aspect of thinking, while this country has already matured and they know that. So here, irrespective of whatever board you are studying, access arrangement is inclusive, stays for all. So I am severely dyslexic and I struggle with typing and reading words. So fine, I can give you something called speech to text software. Okay, because I know, and if you are also might be aware that dyslexic people are excellent orators. They speak a lot. Yes, when they are young, they are not being well intervened. They might not have a sequence and coherency in what they want to say. They mumble and jumble with all context coming in. But if they have a proper intervention from a very young age, they are excellent in speaking. So yes, what they can do is I can use text to speech and speech to text as my exam accommodation as well as my classroom accommodation throughout my learning years, so that by the time I go for my grade 10 examination or 12 examination and even in university, my accommodation remains constant. So whatever is the barrier to learning is what we call as the access arrangements. So learning is fair, learning is equal, everybody has the right to education, but what stops the barriers to learning will be accommodated. So this is just an example that I gave you. So similarly, if a child who is, say, suppose having in the spectrum of autism, and the child is non-verbal, okay, so here the barrier to learning is being not able to communicate. So the child, through the whole years of learning from the early intervention, that is from EYFS, till the child is going into university, the child can use any kind of a communication software, okay, symbolic language, whatever suits, and the way the process of intervention has been carried through the whole years of the child's growing up, and the child can give and solve all his qualifications using those same line of accommodations. So because here what we call is all the accommodations are coming from the government. It's a funded accommodation when it comes to special education needs. So it is not the onus of the parent to, put their mind into thinking, oh my God, what will happen, how it can be done, or whether, how much extra I have to pay, nothing, because it comes from the government. So it is the school so automatically start taking the charge and doing this intervention, whether it is the requirement of the speech therapy, whether it is requirement of an occupational therapy, whether, as I said, some form of these kind of accommodations that's are required. So the system is already in place and the system kind of works by itself. Of course, like all countries, since it's something coming from public fund, so definitely you can't expect that you're going to have a 4 days speech therapy. Maybe your child requires 4 days, but then they can't do that. But yes, the minimum of 2 days or 1 day would be accommodated. You want to do the extra, yes, you have to kind of go and hunt for your own private speech therapy and go ahead. But at least there is some form of a support that is given. And if the child, if there are children who are absolutely poor in cognition, that means, say, suppose at the age of 24 also they are in diapers and nappies, and they need carer and help through for their living, they are already getting that EHCP accommodation to go under social care. So this is what the system is. Now coming to what we can benefit when it comes to the board, coming to the examination system, and why Edexcel. So as I said, I gave you an example, like to make it another form of saying, when we say this access accommodations or exam accommodations, you will get the accommodations, what is needed for the child. So for example, if a child is very creative, has a lot of ideas, and the child wants to do painting, but the child has no hands, okay, so there the child can still do art and design by using foot and mouth painting. So the child will be taught foot and mouth painting. That will be accepted as your exam accommodation. But you cannot expect that there will be a third artist or a painter who would be drawing and the child will be telling, please color, make a tree there and color that green. That is not an exam accommodation. Foot and mouth painting, yes, an accommodation, and he or she or they will be getting the marks as much as it is like all other art and design students who is sitting for that examination. So this is what is the exam accommodation. Another example of exam accommodation is, say, suppose, as I said, your child is non-verbal, nothing to do with cognition, maybe autism, non-verbal, or having a social communication delay or whatever. So, and if the child or if the student needs uh, the software, where he can communicate through the software, because that's what he has been doing throughout his life, so he will get that similar software to complete his examinations. Okay, he doesn't need a separate scribe at that time to do it. Extra time, yes, it is allowed. I am severely dyslexic. My letters are jumping throughout. I do not understand on a white sheet of paper. I need colored overlays, because and some children in autism also requires colored overlays, because white color, it's too sensitive for them. So if you give them pastel shades as your colored paper, it's kind of a very sensory need for them. So if you want that, yes, you're going to get it. You want rested breaks? Yes, you're going to get it. You want 50% extra time, but you have to be very clear. Why are you asking 50% of extra time? So if you need that 50% of extra time because you are severely dyslexic, you need more time to read and understand language. Yes, you're going to get it. So if your need is justified, you will get it because you are falling under that whole umbrella of special education needs or having some form of a learning disability. Um, if you are asking for usually 25% extra time, yes, you're going to get it. You want to type on laptop, yes, you're going to get it. You want calculator throughout all papers of the maths examination, yes, you're going to get it. And for your information, these children who are having dyscalculia, they get calculator not at the age of grade 8 and 9, and they are made to suffer throughout their early years and primary years, fighting to understand maths, and maths just doesn't get into them because they are having dyscalculia. They get that calculator from that primary. Okay, so anything that is a barrier to learning is what we call an accommodation, the access arrangement. Similarly, like when you go to a hotel and people who are in a wheelchair, they need a separate kind of a big toilet, having handles and handbar. You are giving that access to utilize your rights. So that is what is access accommodation. I'm going to send you that whole list of access accommodation and in what conditions, how it is being justified. That so here the access accommodations comes under JCQ. JCQ is Joint Council of Examination Qualification, and all the boards, whether it's Pearson, Edexcel, Cambridge, AQA, OCR, City Guilds, everybody, everybody has to follow whatever is the rule that they have set up when it comes to access accommodation, or what in our layman term we call exam accommodation. So that is all about access accommodation. Now next, coming to Edexcel. As I said to you, it is the oldest board. So Edexcel was later taken over by Pearson Group, and I think many of you are aware of Pearson Group. They are one of the biggest research group in terms of mental health as well as educational softwares and service providers. So they are so now we don't call it Edexcel, rather we call it Pearson Edexcel, but it's all the same. This is one of their wing. When it comes to Edexcel and between Edexcel and Cambridge, so what happens is, because it's an oldest board, they have a lot more flexibility in terms of giving student a scope to attend examination for grade 10 and grade 12. Now, I'm not talking about grade 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, etc., etc., because I just told you prior that it comes under the national curriculum. So, irrespective of whichever board, you follow the national curriculum. So, by grade, for example, by grade 5, if a child should know what is division and what is multiplication, so whether it's Cambridge or Edexcel or whatever, everybody knows that it's the same. So there is no issue on that. It's only at the time of grade 9 and 10, when we are going into the secondary and higher secondary, when the exam, your board qualification, your first public exam starts kicking in. Although here the first public exam starts in grade 5, but there it starts, but for all our international, at international it is at grade 10. So what they do in Edexcel is, some of the approaches of the papers that they have much more scope for children with special education need to attend those papers than that of Cambridge or even IB, International Baccalaureate. So when it comes to, again, JCQ requirement, everybody is having the same, right? So in Cambridge also, if you provide the correct documentation, you're going to get colored overlays. And similarly, you're going to get colored overlays for IB also, or you're going to get it for Edexcel or Cambridge. That's common. I'm not talking about the access arrangement here. Now, when it comes to the board, why did I say that Edexcel has a better accommodation? Because when it comes to International Baccalaureate or Cambridge, much of the expectation, because they are all university driven board, so a lot of research, a lot of academia has been put in. So there, much of the expectation is having a quality of students who will graduate with a high level of academia. So their content wise, they are looking for teaching or studying where it is mostly pen and paper based examination, like the one which we have done in ICSE and CBSE. And we all know that the expectation of the board was at a different level. And many of the parents here who are doing NIOS, and if you kind of sit back, reflect between what you have done in grade 10 and what a grade 10 in NIOS is doing, you are very clear that this is easy. This is easy because why? Because there are a lot of MCQs, there is a particular structure, standard format of template. Somehow, if my child kind of takes that in, my child will pass through. And I have not an expectation that they have to get a distinction, but my expectation is that they have some tangible examination result, and NIOS is giving me. But unlike in ICS and CBSE, the set expectation is a lot more content heavy, and my child can't do that. Similar story goes in Edexcel when it comes to these set of how the child will be giving back in terms of the results. So here what they do, much of their papers, we have a lot of flexibility in terms of coursework, in terms of project to be delivered, and in terms of learning. Okay, so although that is also there in Cambridge, but here the syllabus is much more, a little bit of more defined, which is easier to access in terms of, and here I'm completely speaking about students having learning difficulty. So for example, I want to do music, and music in Cambridge also has two papers. So one would be, they would tell you to record your songs or your instrument, whatever you are playing. That is one paper. And there is paper 2, which is a theory. So there would be technically a book for you to study, a lot of past papers to practice, because theory could be simple. They would make you hear a song, and they would say which was the first instrument started, what was the last instrument, can you define the note, a typical music based questions, but it would be a theory paper. So that's what in Cambridge. That is also there in Edexcel. However, Edexcel has another version which is called BTech Music, and in that the theory paper has been cut off, and it's only the coursework. So the student will be marked on that same level of marking criteria. However, the student has to create a portfolio of 6 different compositions. One, which could be, an internal one. The student will be going out and singing, recording a song. The student could be performing in a small, a concert, in 6 different music portfolio. That would be all kept, recorded, kept, the portfolio is kept. And at the end of, the student registers for the exam. And once the student feels that now I'm ready to register, the student registers, completes this 6 different the 6 recordings of the song, and the music teacher's job is to internally mark it and send it to the external examination, to the board, to verify whether the marking that I have done, it stands. Most of the time it is same, but probably the external examination can say no, the child could have been marked more, so they will mark more. Or if they feel that no, the child has got 10 out of 15, maybe the child should not get 10, it should come to 9, so they would send it back like that. So that's the job that is happening. But then that flexibility is something which I have in Edexcel portfolio. Similarly, in music, as I just gave another example, I have another course which is from NCFE qualification, which kind of gives me that, okay, I may not be a musician, I may not be a vocal artist, I cannot be an instrumental artist, but I love music. Can I make an entrepreneurship career out of it? So the student can go for a coursework project on something called music production. So this means where technically he learns how a music studio is being built, what are the things that you need to do in a music studio, what kind of equipment are there in music studio. So if you look at it, it is much more skill development, skill to work, right? So, okay, I might be having autism, but I am very much knowledgeable in having my music studio, which I can rent out. Having some posters and in social media, I can show this is what I have built, my a music studio, and I can put it to rent to many of the aspiring musicians. Nowadays, many schools also use it because most of the tier A schools, when they do their annual function, they pre-record their dramas and the songs and everything. So yeah, you can use my music, and I'm getting a rental income. So that's more an entrepreneurship level. So these parallel routes of the same subjects are available. When it comes to English and maths, of course, English and maths is English and maths. So you do not have probably the coursework way to walk around, but then we have something called the functional English to walk around. So in a functional English, the papers are designed in such a way, and this is for functional English, functional maths, and functional ICT, that there are 5 steps to complete, and you can take your own sweet time to complete that. And you don't have to sit for the board exam at every step, but definitely at the last step, that is what we call as L2. Other than that, all the steps, it starts from entry level 1 and it ends at L2, where the student moves from the very basic of the first paper is all about writing missing alphabets, to sequencing letters and words, to the last step where he is doing a reading comprehension, in this 5 level of exams. So it's a smooth process, it goes, and the students do not have to walk around with the complicacy of change of tenses, change of verbs, fill in the blanks with the different form of am, is, are, which is a very standard grammatical paper of NIOS and ICSE and other boards. No, they don't have to do that, but they can write a small note of that what we call a post-it note. Write a note to your mother that you would be late for dinner. So it's just a simple 50 words note. Dear mom, I'm going to play with my friend. I'll be late for dinner. See you soon. Thank you. The child gets marked. Because when I say functional English, functional maths, they want to see whether you are able to apply that English in your daily life. Okay. Now, when it comes to marking, you get similar response. So it's just that in the GCSE paper, that is the pen and paper, where you have literally a language paper or literature paper, you have something called ESOL paper, that is English to the English as second language paper, where there is a lot of expectation in terms of reading comprehension or writing an article or a letter. When I'm coming to the functional level, my expectations are low, but when it comes to learning the application of language, it's still same. Okay. And when it comes to marking, the board marks from A star to G, and here I mark from distinction, merit, pass, but it's all the same. So equivalency remains the same, and that works because many students here also, they do not do English from those mainstream to get into the university. They do English through the functional level, and as soon as they get a pass, the English is done, dusted, and they go through the university route. So that's what is the help. Now in Cambridge, I do not have this functional bucket or this coursework bucket available with all the subjects. But in Edexcel route, I have this bucket available to me. And that's why we, as our company, as a group, we had gone through Edexcel. And because we are registered here in the UK, so definitely Edexcel is the first thing that had come into our mind. We didn't think about Cambridge. And that's why Edexcel. And in Edexcel, yes, you have that spontaneity to have a selection even between a mixed bag of few coursework subject and few, pen and paper subject, based on the capability and the capacity of the student to perform. All right. When it comes to the minimum number, all are same. You have to have 5 subjects in grade 10, 3 subjects in grade 12. So 5 subjects where English and maths is compulsory, and you can choose between all the other 3. You can take food science, culinary, you can go for sports as a subject, you can have a music as a subject. Yes, that basket is excellent, you can work. And there are students who feel, no, I want to do, we have students who have passed from India only in grade 10. Right now they're in grade 11. They have done maths, English, physics, travel tourism, and ICT, because that's what the child wants to do. Yes, go ahead. So you can do that. So that mixed baggage is possible. In grade 11 and 12, English and maths is no more compulsory. So you can just do 3 subjects of your choice. However, I know I'm speaking to Indian audience and Indian students, and I reckon that these students will be moving to study somewhere in India. If that is what it is, then as per the territorial education law, so English becomes compulsory in grade 11 and 12 for the students who are studying these international boards and will be studying further education in India. So they have to take that 4th subject compulsory called English. Um, However, if the parents are very clear that, I know that I'm not looking at my daughter or son to be joining, say, suppose Mysuru University or Mumbai University and doing a regular BA or BCom, because I understand that probably till grade 12, they will pass through in whatever way, whichever board we are supporting them. But I'm unsure whether the university will also support them in that way. They'll be lost in the crowd. And I'm not sure, maybe there is, but probably you all have to enlighten me whether any university in India has any form of exam accommodation for students with learning disability. I'm unaware, maybe you are. That is something to get enlightened from you. Um, till my knowledge, it is not there. So in Mumbai University, they have to study, or in Mysuru University, they have to do the same course and they have to write the answers similar in the style, fashion, and expectation of the 40 students, the rest of the 40. There is nothing special for the 41st. um but and if you think that this is what it is, and I don't want my son to, at that age of 21, 22, you know getting recklessly bullied by the professors, in their words and behaviors, by his co-learners, because he would be absolutely lost in that world, and I don't want my son to go into depression, and suffering, because he's already 24. So you have to understand, he may not be communicating you like a baby boy that he was. He will be changing through. I just want him to see and secure that he has some qualification and goes for the next level of professional world. Then doesn't matter whether he is doing that English as the 4th subject or not. Rather, go through this technical qualification route, pick up a subject that aligns with the strength of your child, do internship. That means absolutely a tactile subject, because especially, I'm pretty aware you all know, as parents of, if you are having a child with autism, that their world is very black and white. They don't have any abstract thought process. They can't think and imagine things, imagine a dinosaur flying in the sky. They just can't do that. But you talk to them about sequence of numbers or birthdays. Oh my God, they have excellent memory. So if you can align a degree or a qualification that goes with their strength, just do that. Get internship done and push him into the professional world. Of course, that needs support, and just take that step and do it, rather than going through that whole population of bullying and manipulations, and him struggling with his, what would say, self-esteem. So that is something, it's a choice. And of course, I'm not saying that this is right and this is wrong. No, there is nothing called right and wrong. So it's a choice. And that's a choice that parents have to really understand and take, not sympathy, but empathy, what getting realistic at that level. So, yes, I think in a nutshell, this is the reason, and this is there, very much there, as an option that is open for parents having neurodiverse child. Yes, NIOS is a brilliant option. I we have, in fact, we also do NIOS to many of our students, and some of our students are also clubbing NIOS with some of these international diplomas. These diplomas are technically gives you a leverage to go to work. So I'm having travel and tourism. I'm completing my diploma, and then when the child turns 19, I'm going to put him into a travel tourism house where he can work. Okay, so he learns there hands on, and yeah, and probably he will fit in, but I'm giving him that window to go and fit in. So that is what we are doing. So yes, and at least having that NIOS again aside, maybe if he later wants to go and try universities in India, yes, if he can, why not? So yes, many students we do that. Many students or the parents are very clear that, Papiya, no, I do not want that, because I know that international universities at least has that same level of accommodations, or what you call the exam conditions, available, and I want my child to have a global qualification, and I feel that can be done. So fine, then we will select subject according to the child's, again, strength, and yeah, he can go and do that. And for international courses now in the world, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you are planning, the child doesn't, now many of the parent has said to me also, there was time that, but Papiya, I do not think that my child can go there and stay alone. That is not possible. Fine, you don't have to. Nowadays, you get that same qualification through distance. And why not take that? And just go for the distance and have a global qualification. And in a distance mode, also, if you're getting a degree of master's, it will be written as Master of Education. Nowhere in a bracket it is given as it's a distance course. No, it doesn't happen internationally that way. So your child studies from home and he gets an international qualification. Yes, we have to keep in mind international qualification is expensive. So yeah, probably the course fee is international, it's expensive. You're probably going to spend, I do not know, 15 lakh a year for 3 years course, or for masters, it could be 18 lakh a year. Yes, that is there. But that's not mandatory to do. That's what I meant. I mean, there are different other scopes to work in. Now, coming to the level of vocational, yes, I know in NIOS you have something called hand painting, you might have something called textile designing, you might have something called crafting, carpentry, but you also have to understand that, are you somewhere down ready that your child at the age of 25, 26 would be doing carpentry for his living? And well, no job is small, no job is big. But if, as a parent, you're very much open to the idea, no, if he is good in carpentry, let him do carpentry. In senior secondary, he can do a carpentry as an NIOS subject. Well, excellent. Go ahead, do it. Nobody's stopping you. So it's all on you. But if you feel that, no, I'm not seeing my child, making beds and furniture, then don't think about that. Rather than start thinking back, then what is his scopes? Where are his strengths? And I think Naomi, we both agree to one thing, and that we all have some innate strength. It cannot be that we are having nothing in us. I think even to sit back and watch a TV for 16 hours a day, you need to have that mental capacity, that strength to do that. So there is strength among all of us. It's just that you have to kind of figure it out and test it, whether this is working. No, this is not working. Then let me try this way. Okay, this is working. So let's do that. And that's his special education, where we keep on doing that trial error. it's always a circle that goes on. What we call plan, do, assess, review. That's what it is. We plan, we do, we assess, we review, whether it's working, it's not working, change it, something different. So I think for that, the biggest thing is that patience among parents, that yes, I'm going to give my student, my child, that much of capacity and time to trial and choose the best. And yeah, and that works. So that's all about the international board. As regards to all this set of documentations, definitely I'm going to send it so that you can read at your leisure. I'm open for questions, and it can be a very, very the most simplest or the most complicated. No worries.
Thank you so much, Papiya. One prominent question is, how much of acceptance does Edexcel have in Indian universities? So if you mentioned universities, but is it accepted by government universities or just a select few private colleges?
No, all
Okay.
universities accepted. And I think you all parents are also aware that the government has signed in 2022 the recent pact where both the countries will accept each other's all qualifications. Okay. So in the higher, and this I'm talking about the higher education qualifications. So this is open right now. So, and when any international board comes to India, they first have to get it approved by the Indian Higher Education. And that's the first step. Otherwise, you cannot run that board in Indian domain. And that is very country specific. It happens to all the countries. India is nothing doing different. So yes, it is accepted. And as I said to you, when we took the board, Pearson had sent us those all scanned copies of their those documents. So which definitely I'm going to share it with all of the participants here to take you through. However, remember that if in case of engineering or medical, there has been a stipulation from the government for especially for joint entrance examination that in grade 12 the child has to take up 3 sciences and 1 English and 1 maths. So that's a must, irrespective of whichever board you're coming through, doesn't matter. So that's a must, and it's very clearly given. So I think the document will itself speak for itself. Yeah.
I think Priyanka has a question. You want to go ahead, Priyanka?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Bindu. Hi, Papiya. Thanks
Hi.
for
Hi.
the informative session. I had two questions. So this Edexcel curriculum. So currently, is Linguafile offering this to the physical space only? And I, for example, am based in Gurgaon, not in Bangalore. So is this a curriculum that's available in locations across India? If you could share some information on that.
Yeah, we do online. Students are also doing Edexcel, right? So curriculum is
Yeah, but
across.
let's say if I wanted my child to have the experience of going to like a physical space or a school for his learning.
No, that is not there for, unfortunately. We are only having this physical space in Kormangala. We were supposed to open it in Whitefield this year, but we had to stall the project, and we are hoping to have the second branch sometime later in the coming years, but not now. We are right now only in Kormangala operational. Physical space is only one in Kormangala in India, or you come to UK. But it's not there other. So I have students from different other parts of India who are doing the online schooling. So they're studying from home. So more like the homeschoolers doing.
It's a homeschool system then.
Yes.
So and just one follow-up question. So is Edexcel today offered only by Linguafile in India? Is this the only organization?
No. They're offered by many schools. There are few schools in Mumbai, there are few schools in Delhi, there are few schools in South India also. I'm not sure about East India, but definitely these all locations have, and they are all mainstream schools. So they are categorically the mainstream schools offering Edexcel. They might have an inclusive setup, but again, we all know that when it comes to children having complex needs or having needs which are not good enough for the mainstream schools to handle, they usually they're not so keen, in those set of admissions. Yeah.
Sure.
But yes, that is there. Yeah. And for the second part of your question, our online students, when they have to have the examination, then we can send them to the nearest center within their vicinity to have the physical examination done. And so suppose you're in North India, and we will align with another Edexcel center in North India so that the physical examinations can happen, which is nearer to your place. You don't have to come to South India to give the examination. All right. So that is, you don't have to come to Bangalore to appear for the board exam. You can do it somewhere near to that, having similarly like the NIOS system, where you have these NIOS centers where you go and give the examination and you can choose. But unfortunately, when it comes to Edexcel, you can't choose. We will kind of do that alignment and do the selection, and the headache is our headache, not your headache. And we will tell you that you can go and give the examination. So that is one part. Second part is if the child is doing the coursework section of the subject, then there is no examinations at all, because it's a portfolio that has been built up. So everything is happening on the folder. So the child, say suppose, has created, for example, they are making a food, they are making, say suppose, a dish, whatever dish they have cooked, it is the picture of that dish has been taken, or the whole process is recorded when the child enters into the kitchen and prepare the dish. And that is then uploaded, the recording is uploaded in the folder of the child. So there is specifically no pen and paper exam the child needs to sit. So that's the alternative, right? In the course,
thank you.
Project based. Yeah.
And one follow-up question. So for the online education model, right? Is that like a 5-day week kind of a format?
Yes, it's a similar schooling. It's just that unlike, I'm pretty sure nowadays in India also there are many online schools have come up. Like I think there is one school which has been run by either Birla or Tata school. Another is being run by something called K21. Okay, I think that is from Bangalore. But that's an online school where similar to a classroom, but it's just an online. So it's like 22 faces on the screen, all shot up together, and the teacher speaking and teaching. But in our setup, it is one-to-one, because as I said, we are working in the online or in the physical space only with children with having neurodiversity. So they cannot work in that kind of a group syntax, because there are other issues that we have to take care, probably some of the behavioral manifestations, then sitting tolerance and all those. So we have a one-to-one in the online setup.
Okay, it's a one-on-one session, you're saying?
Yes.
And typically, like, the duration of a day would be like how many hours?
So usually it depends upon the classes, the age of the child. In the online, we feel, and we always kind of tell the parent that it is ideally, it would be better if the child is 10 or 11 years and above to start with the online, because it is not conducive for a child who is just 6, 7, 8 to be in that online setup. It's not fair for the child. Let him go and enjoy the physical space and the physical domain, so but if it is from 10 to 11, so that we talk with the parent, because we are absolutely a customized education. You need not have a full 5 years school. Okay. 5 hours long a day. We can talk around it, so we can make it customized, where we are giving. So for the primaries, we have to have the English, maths, science, ICT. So 4 classes we have the speech therapy, which we do. Occupational therapy, it's online we offer, but of course it's online. So the therapist will be doing your assessment. Therapists will be showing the videos of what to do, what are the resources you need to do, and will be monthly in coordination with you, and would be looking that you are doing those exercises and uploading those recordings so that they know you're practicing with the child and whether you're doing the correct with the child. So OT is there, but again, it's optional. If you think that it doesn't work, my child needs that physical oromotor, uh, intervention, so please go for it. But speech we do online. And as I said, in the primary, the target classes are English, maths, ICT. It's a kind of a needed thing right now, ICT, life skill, more than just academics, and science. And later on, once they grow up, we can think about becoming much more customized in terms of what is the purpose, and finally what the child will give as the final examinations, what he will qualify for the board. So there is no rush from the early years. And we don't do any extra languages. No, we don't teach, and it's not a must for the international board to have this regional languages or anything. No, we don't do. And because they are children with special education needs, so when it comes to the Indian government's requirement also, you can have that. It comes as a basic accommodation, because all children have a psych assessment where they have said that language can be dropped. So that works. And but from the international board, there is nothing of that sort. You don't have to do it. It's not a must. So we don't provide. However, if the child, say, suppose, loves language, well, we will definitely try to customize and give that class to you.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Hi, good evening. This is Bhavna. I have two questions from you. One is this, in case a school wants to collaborate or take the board, your board, what is the process? Second, what is the costing of this online mode of schooling for special needs children?
So we have a standard fixed fees, okay, which we are running, whether it's online or whether you're in a physical space. I think we have a monthly tuition fee of 35,000. That's it, which includes everything. Books are not needed because, we give the PDF, the worksheets, the PPTs, everything is here. So no, nothing of that sort. But if you are into the higher classes, where, you are doing a general GCSE or IGCSE where you need books. So, and you want to buy something because many parents feel good when they see something physical. We are going to give you the link, very much available over Amazon. So we're going to give you the link and you can just buy the student copy. That would be good enough. But usually that is also not required. Our children have parts maths, physics, English without any books because they had the soft copy of the book and our resources were good enough for them to pass the examination. Regarding the collaboration, there is two things that we are looking out here. If you want to go and take the board by itself, you can go ahead and do it. You don't need to collaborate with us as a school. Okay, you complete your formalities, you take the Edexcel board, you run your own institution. Okay, so you have to just contact Edexcel India and go through that paper processing and documentation and whatever fees you're, just like taking ICC or CBC or any other affiliations, you can go ahead. But if you're looking for some of the technical qualifications that probably you as a school do not want to go in and do, okay, because say suppose you already have a standard board, you already have a standard set of students who are doing a board, but there are certain students who might benefit if they do design tech as a subject. Okay, now to take design tech as a subject or to take culinary science or hospitality, customer service or travel and tourism, I don't want to go and get another board involved because again, so much of it, taking any board is a huge investment also in itself. And international boards are very expensive. For per affiliation of all these kind of coursework based subject, I think they take 6 lakhs for one of this. And if you want to run multiple different, so that amount of investment comes in. And I'm saying it openly, there is nothing to hide. It's very straight off. You can go to their site and find it out. So I want to collaborate for these courses with Linguafile. And yeah, we can think of in that, it's just simple. It would be that whatever is, if the teaching is done from your end, then you have to just pay the registration fee for the examination. And if you want our teachers to teach, so definitely we would be taking a kind of a fees that would, keep my teachers running. So yeah, that's, of course, it can be done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vidya, you had a question. Do you want to ask?
Yeah. Actually, I was unsure because I joined quite towards the end of the talk. Yeah, because of the time difference, we are able to listen. But yeah, basically, we are in Australia currently, and we are looking. My son is in year 9 in a Australian curriculum, and we are looking to move to India next year when he's going to be in year 10. So, is it possible for him to, finish the rest of his schooling through Edexcel? Was my question. Is it feasible? And we don't know the process actually, like because I missed the first part, I'm not sure if all this was answered earlier.
So Vidya, I think there are two parts of your question. One is, if you're moving, whether he can fit into any curriculum, whether it's Edexcel or the international curriculum,
Yeah,
that they can, because most of this country's curriculum, the curriculum framework is same. There might be difference in topic of teaching or learning, right? But the framework is plus minus 10% plus minus. The framework of the learning is same, whether it's in the US or whether it's in Australia or in UK or Canada, I mean, whichever these New Zealand, the countries that we speak about. The second part is whether, so it doesn't matter whether you're putting him into an Edexcel or a Cambridge. That's not the question. The question is, what are you expecting out of it? The schooling system, all right? So if you're going for a Cambridge who is supporting children with, having different kind of curriculums to support the child's need in the mainstream, then yes, of course he can go and do it. Or whether his needs, as I said, the barriers to learning are not being taken care of, then whatever be the learning, it cannot happen. So special education is nothing. It's when we are taking care of the barriers to learning, and the barriers to learning could be deafness, dumbness, ASD, dyslexia, CP, and that specific need. So when we address that specific need, they become comfortable to learn. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, we are not, we are extremely doubtful whether he will fit in a mainstream school in India as such because of the hyperactivity, the inattentiveness in class. So it was okay in the younger ages because the support teacher could help and all that. But now it is like mostly he's on his own. And in a mainstream with a larger number of kids, he's definitely not going to thrive. So we're looking at alternatives to that.
Yeah. So an alternative, only here, Vidya, there is nothing wrong if you're even thinking about Edexcel or an iOS or any form, it's just that because we always have to remember no board is the perfect. So there will be ups and downs in all board. It's just that you have to select something which fits your child's need.
Right.
And if that fits in and you are sure that, okay, this is what my expectations are, and I am progressing in that line of expectations, any board is good board.
Got that. Right.
Yeah. And I think this chat, our session is recorded. So I think Bindu will be sharing with all the parents.
Yeah.
So I think the first bit you missed, you will get it. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Papiya, there's a question about the setup in Bangalore. Is it one-to-one, and what are the activities that you do for social connect?
Yes. So the setup in this physical space, we have one-to-one, as well as we have one max to max a group of triad, 3. Now that also depends upon the capacity of these 3 partners coming in to study with the teacher. But because our children needs are so diverse, mostly it is 1-to-1 or max to max a pair. That's where it is. Second, to come about what are the social, we have a speech, social communication, speech therapy. We have all the activities that are running in dance. We have occupational therapy. We have, I think very soon Naomi is planning something to merge with dance and body movement classes. We have all the social activities that is required, going for trips, going for celebrations, annual days. So it's an absolutely a schooling environment, but in a individualized setting. So I think many of our parents even have made bond and have had play dates together because they have kind of made a connection. To that, some people have also left because they got chance in some other mainstream school. So some parents also walked along. So yes, that is there. And if it is good for your child, please carry on. No problem. Yeah.
Thank you, Papiya.
You're welcome. As regards to, I think, as a question regarding, should we also share our email IDs here to receive the materials and recording? I think that Bindu will be coordinating.
Yes, I'll be doing that.
Vidya, I think I spoke to Vidya. What is the name of the school in Bangalore? It is Linguaphile Skills Hub. It's in Kormangala. I think we are in 4th Cross. Yes, we do give assistance after 12 board ANSI, and we have had learners up to 21 years old. Of course, she was in Qatar, and yes, and we right now are also kind of coming up with a lot of admissions who are at that age group, 16, post 16 plus, and for them it would be mostly technical, qualifications which are fit for work. It's no more regular studies. So you can choose a qualification that aligns with your student's strength, and you do the qualification. We look for internships. Yeah, we do have that. We do have that. Yeah.
Papiya, you said you answered in answer to one other question that you also support homeschooling parents, right? So if I'm homeschooling my son and I want to take your help just to write the exams, senior, secondary, and senior secondary, what would be the arrangement then? How would we collaborate?
So, 2 part of it, Bindu. So you would be doing the teaching part, right? Yeah. So we would be kind of creating the folder for you. We would be giving you the resources. You can do the bit of teaching, and but I think still at the end there have to be the teacher has to intervene because there is certain expectation of writing the answer, but the teacher or the exam controller of ours will be in touch with you to make you understand that how the marking system happens. Because if as a parent you know how the marking system happens, you can gauge whether the child is able to, how the child is learning. For example, just to tell you, Bindu, in Edexcel marking system, say suppose the sum is 2 plus 2 equals to 5. Okay. And the child copied wrong. The child did 3 plus 3 equals to 6. The child will still get mark because they are testing the application. Okay. Or the child copied 2 plus 3 equals to, it was 2 plus 2 equals to 5, but 2 plus 3 equals to 5, and the child copies whatever, 4 plus 1 equals to, they have come to the same answer, but having different numbers, the child will get the mark. It will only when 2 plus 2 equals to 0, or the child copied 3 plus 5, instead of writing 8, wrote 10, then the child doesn't get marked, because this shows that the child is still not there with the application. So international boards are mostly with applications. They do not want to have, they are not looking for theoretical expectation of the knowledge. Similarly, so suppose again, I'm giving an example. They will show in biology, so suppose the paper has the whole question on photosynthesis, right? And there is a one plant, wilted leaves, the answer is just sunlight. The plant needs sunlight. And if the child just writes that keyword sunlight, the child gets the full marks. They are not looking for that whole sentence, clear, concise, punctuated answers that sunlight is missing from picture A. The child who gets will get 2. The child who only wrote sunlight will also get 2. So that is what is the whole idea of the paper. And again, if you have selected all those set of subjects which are coursework based, then definitely the support has to be given, because the teacher will guide you what you need to do in those coursework, right? So there is a constant communication will happen, but of course you can have the teaching from your end. So there is both
Sure.
the options open.
And you said, as you said, if a student wants to type and they need a little longer time to type because they're slow, so that would be accommodated.
Yes, 25%, 50% maximum. So if it is a paper is 90 minutes, and if the psychologist report says that the child needs 50% more time, then that will be given. And the child needs 25% above that 90 minutes, that time will also be given. So this is how it is always there. So yes, all those accommodations are there. Scribe, reader pens. We even have reader pens, we don't need a human scribe. So the reader pen, as the child, put the pen on top of the words, the words come in, and they can listen to the voice. Okay. So yes, that is also there. Even I am, of course, we don't have children with braille, so I'm not aware, but braille question papers, even questions to, sometimes there are, in general paper we have questions like describe or analyze, this. So the wordings are very kind of complicated. The question words are complicated. So you can even ask for simplified paper, where those kind of question wordings are changed to match the need of the child. So yeah, that is there. Nancy, again, I think you have a question. He's doing a diploma in voice acting. He's autistic. He's musically inclined. So I was thinking of music production, anything in that line of music. Yes, Nancy, sure, we can be in touch, and yeah, we can think about it. Something, definitely, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So home learners, yes, absolutely. If you feel comfortable, you can think about it. And it just, I mean, before everything, first you have to think is what is what I'm looking for the future, and which pathway aligns with that, and what are the courses or the subjects that my child can pursue with his strengths. So that is what is my first line of thought. And if this is what I'm getting in my present setup, good job, great, continue. And if you feel that no, I'm not getting I think I can have something alternative, then of course you can think about it. So I think having that open mindset and analyzing as a parent will give you a better understanding for Edexcel and IGCSE. So just to give an example, Edexcel is the name of the board. GCSE and IGCSE is the name of the examination. Okay, so Edexcel is nothing separate, it's the name of the board. Just like Cambridge, ICSE, CBSE are the name of the board. GCSE is when the students are writing in United Kingdom, we call them GCSE, that is General Certificate of School Secondary Examination. When the child is writing outside United Kingdom, we call that IGCSE, that is International General Certificate of Secondary Examination. And in terms of the hierarchy of qualification, certificate in the in international understanding, first is the certificate, then is the diploma, then is the degree. And we align that as level 4, level 5, level 6, and level 7 is the masters. So that is how we categorize our qualifications, our qualifications. So when the child goes to 11, 12, that time I think in Indian board we call it as ISC or CBSE plus 12 or NIOS plus 12, which you call a certificate. Here we call it as a diploma. So that is called high school diploma, or as you know, IBDP, International Baccalaureate Diploma. Diploma is completion of 11, 12. And after that comes undergraduate, that is bachelor's, and then postgraduate, that is master's.
A parent sent in a question. She was not able to attend today. So her son is actually a letterboarder. He uses a letterboard to communicate, and he needs a communication partner by his side to answer anything. So, and he cannot write or type yet. He's a non-speaker. So is there any accommodation for people who use letterboards?
Yes, it is there. It is very much there. So that is what you call the AAC mostly. And yeah, they will get that accommodation. So as I said, if the documentation, the psychological evaluation requests, whatever is the request, it comes as the accommodation. Okay, so if it is a requirement, he will get that requirement.
No, I meant even the communication partner would be allowed to sit with the student for the exam. Okay.
Yes, that is called interpreter.
Okay.
Will be allowed. Yes. Is there any other questions? I can't see coming through.
Yeah, hi, Papiya. This is Raji here.
Hi, Raji.
Yeah, so I have a query. My son is in IGCSE third grade. So I understand that he has to appear for a board exam in fifth grade, whereas the school doesn't have accommodations, as you said. So is it mandatory for him to join Linguafile and then only appear for the exam, or he can appear just only for the exam while being in the same school?
No, just two questions out here. Your son is in IGCSE.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
he is in third grade.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yeah.
So he is studying in some school.
Yes.
And I believe you are in Bangalore.
Bangalore only, ma'am, near Whitefield.
Right. So Raji, first thing is he has no exams till grade 10. Okay, so those are internal exams, whichever school he's studying, like first term, second term, third term, or summative, formative, whatever you are saying. That fifth grade exam that I'm telling, public examination, that is only for students in England, in United Kingdom, not for international students who are studying IGCSE. Okay, because here what happens in England, what happens, the secondary and primary schools are different. Okay, so the students have to sit for an open examination to get admission into the secondary school, grade 6 school. That is why there is this public examination. And this also tests the country's literacy numbers, how much the country is effectively doing the education for all. So that is why the public. For your son, that is not applicable. Okay, they will have only the grade 10 examination. Okay?
All right. Yeah.
And second is, right now, your son is studying in IGCSE school, but he is not studying IGCSE. He is studying Indian curriculum.
All right. Okay.
Okay. It is because till grade 8, all schools outside UK, technically, they can do their own curriculum. Okay?
All right.
Only when they go to grade 9, that they choose the board and the board's curriculum or the topic comes in. So whatever your son is studying right now is the curriculum which is made within the school. But yeah, but Linguafile, we do not do that. We follow UK curriculum, sitting also in India, because that Edexcel affiliation is from England. So we are falling categorically under UK's education system. So your son, if they study, or your child, if they study in Linguafile, they are technically giving exam just like another student of UK, not England or Asia or any other country. So that is why we have to follow our UK board, and which is our curriculum. So Linguafile follows UK curriculum from grade 1, while in all other IJCC school that is running in India, they are following their own curriculum, and 90% of it is ICSC curriculum. That is because if I can ask, which school is your son going to?
He is an Axel Formal Aspiration School, ma'am, which is in Whitefield.
And do they have 2 boards when they go to grade 10?
They have only one, ma'am. They have only IGCSE.
IGCSE, okay. So till grade 8, they are doing their own curriculum. That has nothing to do with UK curriculum.
Okay. Yeah. And also one more query, like how soon will the Whitefield Center be open, or any idea?
Unfortunately, this year we did plan. So we were very much up for taking up. In fact, few parents even had admissions, but we didn't reach the number, to make it economical to, run the institute there. So we were absolutely looking for a number of around at least minimum of 10 to 12 students to register and start, because we start from August. And I think, well, we do not do that much of marketing or anything of that sort. We did some few marketing, and we only had 2 students admission. And that's the reason we did not wanted to go ahead with it, because for us, our operational expenses are very high because we do 1-to-1, right? So, I have to meet up, and I have to see that my teacher's bread and butter is going fine. I just can't just open an institute and, I fail in that project. So that's why we stalled the project. And once we have a number of 10 to 12 registrations, we will go ahead with the Whitefield. So that's why, as of now, we cannot. But we have children coming from Whitefield, who couldn't go there, and we had previously also. And we have the transport, and they come to Kormangala. But trust me, for grade 3 student, very young, don't do it.
Okay, got it, ma'am. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
I think that's all we have, Papiya. Those are the questions we had so far.
Yes, so I hope, Bindu, I was able to at least give the basic discussion, and I think I'll send the documents so that you can have it a read at your leisure.
Yeah, sure. So the document you send, will it have the options available apart from the core subjects? Like some parent was asking, what are the other subjects apart from English and maths that are available in the board, like music or food or cooking?
Right. So we have we ourselves have a student handbook, okay, where we have that option that I will send. And but the document I will send is all about what is the access arrangement in that is the exam accommodations. What are the different exam accommodations? Whether Edexcel or is kind of a qualification approved by the Indian government. So that from the board, that I'm going to send. That is a scanned copy. And I'm going to send the difference between this, and I'm going to send the student handbook. That is ours, Linguafiles. What are the things that we do? There are certain subjects which we used to do before, but right now we have stopped, like beauty therapy and all those were there. There were no takers, and so we are not going ahead with that. But yes, other options are available. So yeah,
Sure.
I'm going to send 3 things then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And one last question which came on WhatsApp just now. So do you have anything like checkpoint exams? I know you don't have to write an exam until 10th, but from LinguaPhil, do you plan to have like some exam at 5th, 8th, or maybe 7th?
We have for all classes examinations. The checkpoint exam is something from Cambridge, okay, but that is again, it's not mandatory by Cambridge. Some schools take it, some schools don't. Instead of that, we technically do the SAT papers. That is the public examination paper that happens here. We run it internally to check the level of understanding that had happened. And we have our own like annual, we have 3 exams: Q1, Q2, Q3 summative. And formative is always for the learning. So it just kind of gives you a pick of how much the child understood a certain topic, or should we go ahead to the next topic, or no, the child didn't understand. I think we have to stick back with that same for the next 1 month. So that is the formative end. But yes, we do have Q1, Q2, Q3, the report cards. And I mean, we had many parents who relocated later, moving from us to have relocated to different part of the world. So yeah, we give transfer certificates. We will send you the report card. We will do everything that is required for the transitions. So it just runs as an alternative platform, but we are not a school because we are not catering to the very specific academia needs of the student. So we are not a school. We are not established in India as a school. We are rather a company, an alternative setting where we have very limited number. We are not aiming to make it a 500, 600 student strength. We are happy with 35, 40 students because we are going that one-to-one, and we do not work in a typical classroom setting. So it's mostly individual settings, or as I said, a pair and a group, having some group lunch together, and exhibitions, picnics, and annual concerts, and all those, singing, yoga, art, you name it, we have it. But the setup is not conventional or traditional. So that is why probably we call it ourselves a hub, where you get everything under one roof. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Sounds great. Thank you, Papiya, for taking time for us.
Thank you for listening to me, and I will share it across, and
Sure.
I think Naomi has it. If not, I'll share it with Naomi, and I think Naomi will then send it across to you, Bindu, so that you can share with people.
And if someone wants to contact you for any other info, can I just connect you through Naomi?
Yes, of course. You can connect me through Naomi, or you can connect Naomi. We are there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.